The year 2025 marks a crucial step for Vietnam's rice industry, and it is not a simple one, because world rice prices are constantly fluctuating, and also due to an unexpected walk from the largest market. This country has issued an import ban until the end of the year, while also revising the rice, created a quiet but profound earthquake in the Southeast Asian rice supply chain. With over 44% of Vietnam's rice exports previously flowing into this shock forced export businesses to quickly pivot, finding a way to Malaysia, South Korea, Africa, and even restructuring products into the processed rice and premium rice segments. A big door closes, many new paths open. But is that an opportunity or a challenge? And what is really happening inside the rice market? The product associated with the food security of nearly 100 billion. November 3, 2025. Philippine Secretary of Agriculture Francisco Pedro Warren Jr. The declaration of an import ban on rice until the end of the year, citing a reason to stabilize and protect domestic farmers. This ban was initially only supposed to last 60 days, but has now been extended by President Ferdinand, approved for an extension and may continue if domestic prices have not recovered. The Philippines believes that rice imports are causing a sharp decline in domestic purchase, causing millions of farmers to suffer losses. According to data from the country's Ministry of Agriculture, the farm gate price of rice fell from 16.5 pesos per kilogram to 13. Only look at more than the production cost. The government therefore considers the temporary import suspension as but for Vietnam, the country leading rice exports to the Philippines, this move is like a strong headwind. In the first 7 months of 2025, Vietnam exported 2.44 billion tons of rice that accounts for 44.3% of the total exported rice. The sudden shutdown of ginger caused hundreds of businesses to reorienting logistics, even diverting goods to other ports in the region. At the same time, the Philippines is also advancing the amendment to restore the role of the National Food Agency, while creating a 30 billion peso fund to support farmers. If the new law passes, this country could prioritize self-sufficiency, long-term import restrictions. Faced with that situation, Vietnam had no other choice than to shift its export strategy. According to the Vietnam Food Association, only from September to October 2025, among the 20 ships loading cargo in Ho Chi Minh City and Mai Voi and Giang, only 3 ships are heading to the Philippines, while 11 ships are going to Malaysia and 5 ships are proceeding to Africa. A clear shift is emerging as Vietnam's export focus gradually moves away from Manila to reach Kuala Lumpur and West African ports. The Philippines has long been considered a lifesaver for Vietnam's rice export. With a population of over 117 million people and an average rice consumption of 122.7 kilograms, this country has been Vietnam's most stable customer over the past decade. However, President Marcos Jr.'s policy of protecting domestic farmers and extending the ban on rice import by the end of 2025, it has shocked the entire region. Not only Vietnam but also Thailand and Cambodia, major rice suppliers, have had to adjust their plans. Although the Philippine government asserts that domestic supply remains sufficient, some experts warn that the real impact lies in the market psychology factor, with Philippine traders becoming more in signing the new contract. Shipping and warehousing rates are increased. Meanwhile, Vietnamese businesses are stuck with capital because the goods have been purchased. What is noteworthy is that the Philippines is not permanently closing, but rather restructuring its based on the control of the National Food Agency and a 30 billion peso support program for farmers. This signals a new scenario where the country will import less, be more selective, and prioritize strategic, has high added value. Vietnam must maintain its position by improving quality and diversifying rice, instead of relying solely on common white. According to statistics from the Vietnam Food Association, Vietnam once depended on nearly 50 on the Philippines alone. When this door temporarily closed, businesses were forced to find new direction. From September to the end of October 2025, Malaysia became the largest destination for Vietnam, accounting for over half of the export shipments during this year. More notably, Africa, specifically Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, are emerging as potential markets. These are 2 countries with rapid population growth and increasing rice consumption demand, while domestic production capacity remains limited. Africa does not require overly high-quality rice but prioritizes stable, competitive prices and fast delivery times, factors that Vietnam is leading well.
Trade experts assess that this shift is not only temporary, but a necessary restructuring.
In the context of traditional markets increasingly tightening standards and expanding to South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa will help Vietnam reduce costs while creating room for long-term growth. One reality to acknowledge is that most of Vietnam's exported rice currently remains below average, competing directly with Thailand and India, as these competitors are pushing high-end rice strategies like Jasmine or Basmati. Vietnam needs to reposition its brand if it doesn't want to be stuck in a cheap price. The event of the Philippines temporarily suspending imports is a warning that the low-price market is up to survive. Vietnam must move up to higher value-added segments, such as fragrant rice, organic rice, nutritional rice, or processed packaged. Some businesses like Lock Troy Group, Can Long, and Timex have started following this direction, exporting organic rice to Europe and Japan, or selling prices at double. If there are supportive policies for credit, price insurance, and logistics, Vietnam can completely elevate from a quantity exporting country to a quality exporting. When the main export market shrinks, the fastest ripple effect is on domestic purchasing prices. In the Mekong Delta, the price of IR 50,404 and 5,451 rice slightly decreased by 100 minus 150 Vietnamese ounce. Although not significant yet, if the trend continues, farmers can suffer losses. Therefore, Vietnam's Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development has recommended businesses, while accelerating negotiations with Africa and South Asia. Some localities like Icheon, Kinjiang are encouraging linked field models with stable off-pay, so farmers are not dependent on short-term export pricing. Most importantly is building a closed value chain, from cultivation seeds to processing and branding. If that is achieved, fluctuations from the Philippines or any other country will only be small waves in Vietnam's long rice journey. Meanwhile, India and Thailand show two opposite directions. Their goal is to increase the global export control rate from 40% to 60%. Thailand, conversely, maintains stable prices at a high level of 335 to 345 USD per ton, focusing on strengthening the changing brand. Both directions have reference value. India chooses a scale strategy. Thailand chooses a branding. Vietnam stands in the middle with large output, competitive prices but not strong enough in quality. Therefore, the Philippines and that could become a worthwhile medicine for Vietnam to choose a more decisive.
Recent data shows Malaysia is emerging as a natural alternative market.
This country imports about 1 million tons of rice annually, with Vietnam accounting for over 30. Not only geographically close, Malaysia also has stable trade relations and less political fluctuations.
Africa, though farther, is a potential low-end.
Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Mozambique all have import demands exceeding 500,
while they still heavily depend on India.
When India tightens exports due to drought, Vietnam has an opportunity,
faster and more stable than India.
However, for sustainable development, Vietnam needs to build a reasonable as sea transport costs currently account for 25 to 30% of it. Cooperating with major shipping companies or investing in transshipment ports in West Africa would be strategic. The Vietnam Food Association forecasts that in 2025, Vietnam can still maintain rice exports, but the market structure will completely change. The proportion of the Philippines will decrease to below 25%. While Malaysia and Africa will increase with the remainder allocated to South Korea, the Middle East, and by 2026, if the trend of the Philippines becoming self-sufficient in production, Vietnam will be forced to shift from selling rice to building, while strengthening international cooperation in the valley. Programs such as high-quality national rice or exports according to ESG standards will become the key to opening up more demanding markets. The Philippines closing imports is not the end, but a warning about the market dependence of Vietnamese rice. From the short-term shock, Vietnam is gradually forming a long-term strategy, aiming for sustainable value rather than just focus. Like every wave, when one wind dies down, another wind blows up. For Vietnamese rice, this is the new direction to escape the shadow of the Philippines and reach out to the global market.
Like the journey? Subscribe and join the next expedition.